What's going on, sports fans? Welcome to another episode of KFR Sportscast. I am one of your hosts, BG, and I am tagging along with, as always, Big Sexy and the Heel. And welcome to our second part of free agency. So if you haven't, go back and watch the first part, New Home, and you can watch that and see all the players that were signed to new places. But today we're going to focus on staying home. And so we're gonna focus on players that are got their contracts extended and didn't have to pack up their whole house and life and move to a different city. Not like it would matter to them because they make millions of dollars a year. Anyways, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And so first up on the ticket we have Christian Darrisaw from the Minnesota Vikings. Unfortunately, no, it is not Lizzo, the new man for the Minnesota Vikings. It is Christian Darrisaw. So, offensive stats play 982, 7 penalties, and 6 sacks allowed last season for them with an overall score of 82.4. Again, I'm pulling this information from pff.com if you want to look into it yourself. Kirk Cousins is gone. I know they drafted the kid out of Michigan. I'm blanking on his name right now. But who is their starting quarterback? It'll
be either J.J. McCarthy or Sam McCarthy.
Yeah.
Or Sam Darnold.
See, Sam Darnold didn't seem right to me. Like, I thought Sam Darnold, but it didn't seem right. Okay, so Justin Jefferson has to rely on Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy. And Christian Darrisaw just has to protect one of them.
Well, first off, just when you think that you've seen it all, Lizzo gets some mention on KFR Sportscast. Anyway, secondly, I think, Christian Darrisaw is definitely a great offensive tackle. He's been a solid part of that Minnesota Vikings offensive line. Very happy that they reached an agreement on an extension to bring him back. We'll see if they can put some other pieces around him in the right spots and build a really strong offensive line to protect their young quarterback. Because, whether it's week one, whether it's J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold, more than likely going to be J.J. McCarthy going forward. If he needs some time to adjust to the offense or what have you, Christian Darrisaw is definitely going to have to keep himself upright. He hasn't really had a history of injuries, but it's the NFL and anything can happen. But as long as this guy's healthy, the Minnesota Vikings got themselves a stud at tackle. So kudos to getting him re-signed.
You always want to keep those young offensive linemen that are producing well, and he has. And regardless of what the future looks like, or whether you jump to the new guy sometime this year, next year, you always want to keep these solid guys that are still going to be around for at least another 8-9 years. You hope guys on there. I believe this is the second contract, if I'm not mistaken. Solid signing there. You want to build your units while you're reshoring up other spots of your team. Also, the Lizzo joke is only funny because she is an awful person who also makes fun of fat people, so she gets the rim of that too. Don't feel bad.
All right, next person up, we got Jabril Peppers, who is staying in New England. So a little bit about Jabril Peppers. So he had 54 solo tackles, 2 interceptions. He was targeted 34 times, and he allowed 20 receptions for an overall score of 87.3. Solid signing for the Patriots. I feel like you need some key players on that defense, and Jabril Peppers is one of them. So I think that's a solid signing to extend him.
I think so too. I am actually a really big fan of Jabril Peppers, just because I felt like even in that abysmal Joe Judge era that was the New York Giants, Jabril Peppers was one of the players that I really loved watching on that team. It shows when he's playing in New England that he's still a very, very productive safety. This guy is a Swiss Army knife on defense. You can line him up in the secondary, drop back in coverage. You can line him up at man-to-man against a receiver. You can line him up at linebacker. There's not a thing on defense that Jabril Peppers can't do. I think the Patriots were very smart keeping him around. We'll see how it turns out. The Patriots are coming off of the first season without Bill Belichick in a very, very long time. So they're treading into some unknown territory here with a very young roster. They needed to keep this guy around because this is, the Patriots were a dumpster fire last year, but this guy was not one of the reasons why.
Yeah, you want good players on defense when you have young QB play with however they go this season. He's definitely earned the contract, definitely earned the stay. He's proven to be a guy that will stick it out on a team regardless of their position because he sat through that Joe Judge era, and now he's in a still rebuilding New England team, a complete reset, rebuild for this New England team. And he will continue to contribute, throughout the length of this contract. Does he eventually afterwards go on to maybe try and play for a contender, win a championship? Who knows? But you always appreciate guys that see the value of sticking out through a situation that many would see as not great.
All right, our next guy is Jordan Love, who got some love this offseason with a new extension for a 4-year, $220 million contract, making him one of the highest paid QBs in the league now. After a season where he had 579 passing attempts, 4,158 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, with an overall rating of 83%. I mean, he was stellar last year. I mean, he had a great season. I mean, he definitely deserved the contract that he got coming toward him. So kudos to him, and hopefully he's a Packer, for a long time, for Packer fans.
He started very slow last year. Like, he had some productive games, but you could tell it was a little rocky at first. When you jump into that role, it is what it is. You're not going to be great off rip. Nobody is. But he definitely did improve down the backstretch of the season. And let me tell you, when I see this deal, when I see Daniel Jones's deal, and then later on, I'm pretty sure, talking about Tua, makes me really grateful that Josh Allen's deal got done when it did. Because a lot of these QBs that, and this is no slouch on any of them, except for Daniel Jones, is that they are not as good as Josh Allen. They're not. They're not as good as a guy like Josh Allen or even Patrick Mahomes. And these guys, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, are slowly falling out of the top 10 of getting paid. And that just shows good money management, good commitment to getting your team better, etc. And good on these young guys for getting paid, man. Like, hey, do your thing, you play well enough, you get there. But it's just contracts like this make me grateful that Josh Allen's deal got done when it did.
Yeah. So when this happened, I made the joke with somebody that, man, like that, this man Daniel Jones really broke the market, didn't he? This guy was a starter for 1 year, decent run in the playoffs. They annihilated the Cowboys in the first round and had a really good showing against that San Francisco team that ended up going to the Super Bowl. Many say that the Packers should have won that game. I don't know. Yes, he showed flashes of being a really good quarterback in this league last year with some of his play, but it's just crazy to me now. Now this is coming from a guy who's a team of his favorite team signed Daniel Jones to a $40 million a year contract. I really can't talk smack about it too much, but I just don't see a $500 million quarterback when I see Jordan Love. I'm sorry, and that's with a lot of these guys that are getting paid that money. Like, as great as Jared Goff was last year, I don't think I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I mean, the Packers see him every day, so maybe they're seeing something that we don't, and they want to lock him down before the market gets too crazy because it's already crazy enough as it is. So if you're looking at it from that point of view, I guess you would say that it's a good signing. Yeah, man, I just don't know. I mean, there's a lot, like Jake said, I mean, there's a lot of guys up there that haven't produced nearly as much as some of the other quarterbacks, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Josh Allen. I mean, the only one that you could say on that list maybe is Joe Burrow. I don't know, man. And Jalen Hurts, maybe. Like, and he's on like the bottom end of that list. There's like a list somewhere of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, and Jordan Love is at the tippy top right now. Now, do I think he deserved to get paid a handsome salary after last year? Sure, of course he does. He won a playoff game and damn near won 2 of them. But do I think that's worthy of him being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? Absolutely not.
And to build on that, moving into our next little player thing here. Speaking of quarterbacks who got paid, Sunshine, 5-year, $275 million extension for Trevor Lawrence, who ended up with last year's stats: 564 attempts, just over 4,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. And he earned himself a $275 million contract. Silly by Jacksonville. Obviously, I think it was a good move to keep Trevor Lawrence, but pay him that much.
He will forever live off the hype of what he was as a high school student and him being decent in college. He will forever continue to get paid and be held in the standard that he is for that reason. Now, is he a terrible quarterback? Absolutely not. I think he's definitely in the top half of the QBs in the NFL. But man, oh man, he underachieves. He underachieves a lot. People put a lot of expectations on it. Here, let me put it like this. CJ Stroud is who they wanted him to be, basically. This savior that turns this franchise around and puts them in the right direction. And do I think Trevor Lawrence has improved them? Sure. But he hasn't improved them in that way to where that contract is warranted. And I could arguably say I feel he played worse than Love did last year. Especially down the backstretch, especially when they choked away that playoff spot, man. And they're like, let's pay him. To me, and I feel like they put in a situation where you got to do it. You got to do it. What else do we have in the tunnel? Are we going to draft another guy? No, you're not going to. You're going to stick to what you have. But, man, they paid way too much.
Yeah, honestly, Jake, I agree. I agree with pretty much everything that you said. And, if folks remember last year on our old channel, rest in peace, our old channel, but, yeah, moment of silence. Anyway, a lot of what we were covering last year during the season, that this was Jacksonville's division to lose, and they lost it. Trevor Lawrence on that backstretch didn't help matters. Trust me, this kid's had some fantastic games. I feel like the kid, has a lot of talent and can make pretty much any throw on that football field. There's more than just, throwing the ball on being an elite NFL quarterback. And to get paid that kind of money, it's just like I said, I just feel like half of the list. Now, I mentioned Jared Goff. Now, I feel as though Jared Goff should deserve to be paid more than Trevor Lawrence, because, look at what Jared Goff did last season. But, and his team damn near made the Super Bowl. You're ridiculous. This quarterback market is absolutely absurd. The amount of money that these guys are getting paid, it's just crazy. But going to the other 2 guys that are on this screen, Tyson Campbell, I feel, is a really solid under the radar corner in the league. So good job on extending him. And the other Josh Allen, who is
now Joshua. He's now Joshua Hines Allen because he got sick and tired of being compared to the real one. I understand.
That's understandable. So Mr. Joshua Hines Allen is a solid player in his own regard. It's unfortunate that this guy gets overshadowed by the other Josh Allen just because they share the same name. And but Mr. Hines Allen is a solid edge rusher. He's very solid. So getting 2 key pieces back on defense is good for Jacksonville. Keeping Trevor Lawrence, just minus the amount they kept him for, is the right move because you want to build on a young quarterback's success. And who knows? I mean, if they end up putting some pieces around him and they make a deep playoff run, hell, even make a Super Bowl or even win one, then that contract will be worth it. Right now, I have to take this thing at face value for what we're looking at here, and definitely got paid way too much.
Absolutely agree. Definitely the right decision to keep Joshua Hines Allen and Tyson Campbell. Needed in a defense, solidifying a spot, just by their productivity for Jacksonville. The next one that we have here is Tua and the Dolphins squad. So Tua getting that 4-year, $212.4 million contract. And then they extended Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert as well. So Tua's numbers from last year, just a reminder, very similar to as far as touchdown to interception ratio to Trevor Lawrence. But he had 561 attempts, 4,679 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. And obviously you can throw for almost 5,000 yards when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle out there to just catch. So I think with Mostert's age, you got a last deal out of him basically that I think might be worth it. He did miss a lot of time in certain years with injury. So I think maybe he does have a little more tread on those tires still left to go. So you're going to get another good couple years out of him. So I don't shriek at that deal. Jalen Waddle is a fantastic receiver and got paid his worth, I believe. And Tua just jumps right into the bin with guys like Jordan Love and guys like Daniel Jones and to me, and Trevor Lawrence. To me, as a Bills fan that has seen Tua not do anything when the temperature goes below 45 degrees, I'm very excited that they signed him to this extension. Please, if you like what you see, if you're satisfied with it, throw all your money at him. Be my guest. Be my guest because, to me, he's got the best receiver in the league. He's got an elite running game with Mostert and A-Chain. And it just, to me, if Tua hasn't even won a playoff game or done anything with that, what more can you give him at this point? What more can you give Tua at this point other than a contract that's well beyond his worth? I don't know, but congratulations to him getting the bag and some January exits. Cheers to that.
Yeah, it just goes to to my point of the quarterback market. Now, we mentioned Daniel Jones a lot. Now, I guess I could be happy in this regard that we paid him $40 million instead of $50 million, because if we paid him $50 million, I'd be jumping off of a building face first. I don't know, man. Tua had some really solid production last season. He did throw for 5,000 yards, but that's great. The regular season's great. But it really matters what you do in January. He hasn't even won a playoff game yet. At least Trevor Lawrence won a playoff game. At least Jordan Love won a playoff game.
Daniel Jones won a playoff game.
Yeah, Daniel Jones won a playoff game. Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts went to a Super Bowl. Jared Goff went to an NFC Championship game. And went to a Super Bowl with the Rams.
They went to a Super Bowl. And Josh Allen's been to an AFC Championship game, and Patrick Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls. So,
yep. So I mean, I don't know. That's it. If he hasn't won a playoff game, is he really worth $50 million? I guess that's the standard now. You put up pretty numbers, you get paid pretty money. That's. I don't know what else to make of it.
Sign me up.
It's but at the end of the day, I don't want to throw any hate on on the person, Mr. Tungavaloa, whatever, congratulations to all the quarterbacks that got paid a handsome salary. Congratulations. That's a big deal. You work your entire life to get paid the big bucks, and you did it. That's huge. Now your family's set for life. But this is an opinion-based, very opinion-based reaction to this. I just, 50 million, I don't know. 40 million, probably, just because he's had a couple of really solid regular seasons behind him. He's definitely not on the bottom half of quarterbacks in the league. He's definitely in the top half, but 50 million.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, so the next person that we got is DJ Moore re-signing with the Bears for a extension that brings him, to Chicago for up until the 2029 season for 4 years, $110 million extension. Did you know? We'll just call it that. I was going to try and use acronyms, but my brain farted. Did you know that DJ Moore is the only person to have all of his contracts guaranteed, like 100% guaranteed?
That speaks volumes.
That man's agent is on a working deal.
So,
man.
Speaking on that, so let's look at his numbers last year. So he had 132 targets, 96 receptions, 1,364 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns. And he's, graded at 89.3%, and that was with Justin Fields. So now he's got Caleb Williams. May or may not have a year like CJ Stroud in his rookie season. We don't know, but we'll see.
DJ Moore has probably been one of the most consistent wide receivers in probably the last 6-7 years. He just always finds a way, man. Doesn't matter who he's playing with, doesn't matter what team he's on. Dude has just the model of consistency and yardage and etc. That dude has earned every single dollar he's ever been paid. And kudos to his agent for making sure all that money gets guaranteed, man. Seriously. Yeah. He is a solid player, well paid, and if Caleb Williams is any good on the pro level, he's gonna reap the benefits of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything because DJ Moore, I've always had high praise for DJ Moore. The kid, could have freaking PJ Walker throwing him the football for 17 games and still somehow get 1,000 yards. The kid is just the epitome of do it with what you got. Do it with what you got. The kid's a stud. He's an excellent route runner. Can definitely beat whoever he's matched up against one-on-one. You don't really see him being put on an island too much. He's just an all-around solid wide receiver. And even with his production, is still very underrated in talks of being, a top-level wide receiver in the league. But for my money, I'd take DJ Moore any day, especially, because he doesn't get in any trouble off the field. He's a great teammate. The kid's just a consummate professional. He is. And congrats to him and kudos to his agent. Yes, I will say that too. Fully guaranteed. All of his contracts have been fully guaranteed. That is a big deal. Because, it really, you can be wowed by the big numbers and even the quarterbacks that get paid all this money. You got to look at the fully guaranteed. What is their fully guaranteed, or what is their guaranteed money? That's what the meat and potatoes of the contract is. Because that means you're getting that no matter what.
Deshaun Watson will tell you all about that.
Well, yes, Deshaun Watson will.
All right, so next up we got a couple Tampa Bay players. We got Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. getting extended. The Tristan Wirfs contract was a little last minute, actually during training camp. So last second before we got into the start of the season. And then the extension for Antoine Winfield came in during the offseason. As a Bucs fan, I am extremely happy about this because these are two very key pieces on both sides of the ball. Antoine Winfield, should have been in the Pro Bowl last year. Tristan Wirfs has just been a monster on left tackle ever since we drafted him. So these are two key pieces that I am happy and so ecstatic to bring back to Tampa.
Yeah, the minute Tyron Huntley was invited to the Pro Bowl, the Pro Bowl became a joke to me. I'm sorry. The season before that, when Evan Ingram got invited to the Pro Bowl as a New York Giant, that's when the Pro Bowl was a joke to me.
Yeah, that's when Ingram had like 600 yards and a touchdown, and Robert Tonyan had like 10 touchdowns and didn't get into the Pro Bowl.
And did not get into the Pro Bowl. Evan Ingram had more drops than touchdowns that year, and he was a Pro Bowl tight end. Now, in Jacksonville, Evan Ingram's been great. As much as I hated him in a Giants uniform, he's been fantastic in Jacksonville. And it kind of pains me a little bit. It's like, why the hell couldn't he do that in a New York Giants uniform? But we're not talking about Evan Ingram right now, even though I am currently. I'm going to get off of this topic and get back. Yeah, I'm going to get back to what's in front of us here. Yes, I agree with everything Brian said. These are two of the Tampa Bay's franchise cornerstones right here. One in Antoine Winfield Jr. and one in arguably the best right tackle in football right now. One could argue that Tristan Wirfs is the best right tackle in football. There's nothing bad to say about this kid. Like, really, there's nothing bad to say. Like, he just does it. And he is a people mover. He moves people. And Antoine Winfield's following right in his daddy's footsteps, man. Mm-hmm. Right in his daddy's footsteps. He's a stud just like his daddy was. And cue the Lil Wayne song, "Stunting Like My Daddy." That's what Antoine Winfield Jr. is doing right now.
You could say that Tristan Wirfs was Wirfs the money.
You're a cat dad now, Jake. That's what you get.
That's what it is, bro. But both great contracts, two very young cornerstones to this franchise. It's a smart move. What else could you ask for with a franchise right tackle and a corner that's going to help hold that secondary down for years and years to come? And I had hoped out of Winfield. I remember when he was in the draft, and I was hoping Buffalo would draft him because I knew that guy, because his dad used to play for Buffalo, and I knew this guy was going to be special in this league. And here it is. Here we are. And he's well worth the money. He's worth the money.
And if any of you guys before the previous channel got deleted, RIP to the last channel, you saw some episodes of One-on-One with BG, and I said that Antoine Winfield, I think this was last season when we franchise tagged him, that Antoine Winfield is going to be the best free safety that the Bucs have ever had in franchise history. So I'm already placing him in the Hall of Fame, but I think he is going to be the best free safety that we have ever had as a franchise.
In the Pro Football Hall of Fame or the Buccaneers Hall of Fame?
Both.
Both of them. Oh, wow. Bold statement by Mr. BG here. Wow, okay. Mark you heard it here first, guys. Antoine Winfield, Tampa Bay Ring of Honor and Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Next up, we got Mecole Hardman getting re-signed to the Chiefs. Mecole Hardman, who I believe caught the game-winning touchdown for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure he was the one that caught that touchdown.
I think so.
So last year he had 22 targets, 15 receptions, 124 yards, and this says 0 touchdowns. So I don't know.
Yeah, because he didn't play at all when he was on New York, and then Kansas City traded for him mid-season. I think only played one game.
That touchdown was literally all he did all year, which is hey, make a catch, make it count. Hey, there it is. But he otherwise I remember when they thought that this guy was and I know Jake was very high on him for speed and when he played as him in in Madden, etc. that this guy was going to be one of those next level receivers. He never turned out to be that guy. And, it's solid. Kansas City just wants to bring back in one of their guys. It makes sense. He tried the whole thing, and then Aaron Rodgers got hurt. And he's like, I want out. And, they answered the call. Solid depth piece. He's a guy that knows the system. He's a guy you can lean on every here and there. But, I mean, if it's anywhere based off last year, I don't think they're going to use him way too much. I don't know.
Well, my boy Mecole Hardman, right from the University of Georgia, go Dogs. But yeah, I mean, going off of what Jake said, his better years are behind him. But still a plug-in piece that you need somebody with some speed. To get down the field. This is your guy. They could use him on, certain punt return situations. That would be where I would guess that they would use him for, but
maybe even with the new kickoffs, maybe even with the new kickoffs, and that's how that's going to lay out this year.
This was just a signing that to have somebody familiar in that locker room off of back-to-back Super Bowls.
I feel like if they really wanted a guy with speed, they could go out and they could get somebody like a Tyreek Hill, I think.
Man, yeah. Imagine if Tyreek Hill played for the Chiefs. That would be something, wouldn't it?
Crazy.
You want to know who I hear is a free agent they could sign is Henry Brooks. Remember him?
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. CMC gets a payday, so it's a 2-year extension.
Whatever it is, I think one thing I do know, I think he's the highest paid running back in football.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 2 years and it's $19 million per year. So it's $19 million per year.
As it should be.
Yeah, he had them injury riddled years in Carolina, and he was, and he's hurt again right now. Hopefully he kind of gets through that issue. But it was kind of a match made in heaven for him. It's kind of what he needed getting out of Carolina, where all they did was use the guy, and that was it. They had nothing else on offense. I mean, they had DJ Moore for a period of time, but they would get on McCaffrey's back, and that would just hurt him. And he's always had the potential to be the best. And even in some years in Carolina, he was the best running back in the NFL. But it was always the issue of durability from overusage. And going to San Francisco was the best damn thing that could ever happen to him. He's utilized it to, they got back to the Super Bowl, and he is the best. He had that touchdown streak. He is the best running back in the NFL. How many more years does he have in those legs? Who knows? The art of the running back is, a death by 30. So it's, I'm not sure. How old is he now?
So let's see. He'll be turning 30 in the next couple of years. So he's just over 28.
So, he probably still has another 2-3 years in it. And some guys defy age too. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Frank Gore played for 8 million years. So, well-deserved. And this is probably the last big contract he ever gets. Good for him.
Legend has it that Frank Gore's agent is on the phone with multiple teams right now.
Yeah, he might come play with his son.
What some people don't know is that Frank Gore actually played for the Chicago Cardinals.
Hell
yeah! For just 1 second, can we give a shout out to Frank Gore just for 1 second, just because you just sparked my memory for a minute. When he was in college, he tore his ACL twice, and teams were scared to draft him because of that. And then turns around and has probably one of, if not the longest career of a running back ever. Just gets picked up, has, had a really great peak in San Francisco, had a couple of good years elsewhere, and, kept getting on rosters, to finish out his career. Shout out to him, man. That's cool
right.
As hell.
Frank Gore literally put the NFL on his back, though.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the Jets killed him, as the Jets do for a lot of.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we got some Detroit Lions signing. So we talked about the extension for Jared Goff earlier. when we were going over QB market. So he signed a 4-year, $212 million extension. And then they also signed Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell. Great signings there. Need those guys.
Yeah,
if you want to have a shimmer of what you did last year.
Yeah, all cornerstone signings. Penei Sewell's one of the best offensive linemen in the league. You gotta lock those guys down, protect Jared Goff. Listen, man, Jared Goff got hosed out of LA, man. Let me tell you, it was due to a lot of things, and maybe I know there's a year or two there when he wasn't as productive, but man, Jared Goff is a very slept on quarterback, and he went to Detroit and said, "Bet I got you." And yes, the Rams got a Super Bowl. The Lions don't have a Super Bowl. But I think in the long run, man, it's genuinely one of those trades that both teams won in their own way. In their own way, both the teams won this trade. Swapped environments, got what they wanted, and kudos to Goff for just still sticking it to. It's just still going, still being productive. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's an SC boy, man. I love that kid, man. He's the best SC receiver I've seen come out in forever, man. Where all these guys have hype and they don't live up to it. You got your Juju Smith-Schusters, you have your Marquise Lee. Although Robert Woods had a pretty good run before he got old. And I appreciate how good he is for that team and that offense, and that he's a top 3 receiver in the NFL, and he's worth that money.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the quarterback market discussion with Jared Goff, like out of some of the quarterbacks that are on that list that are deserving of that money, I feel like Jared Goff is more deserving than others. It was the right move. If you're looking to keep Jared Goff around, especially build on what you did last year, it's a good move. I mean, yes, the price point's a little high, but you got to do it. You got to do it to keep that, that energy, that passion that you had on that team last year. Jared Goff is the leader of that team. He's the leader of that offense. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is the weapon on that offense. The offense, literally, I mean, you got 3 cornerstones of that offense looking right at you, right on the screen. Penei Sewell, one of the best linemen overall, not just an offensive tackle. You look at offensive linemen in this league at the top, and there's not too many better than Payday. Amon-Ra St. Brown is just a fantastic receiver that's only looking to get better. And Jared Goff is a savvy veteran quarterback that is very slept on, that makes the right decisions, with the football. And they had a really solid running game last year in that 2-headed attack with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They're looking to build on that. So overall, great offseason for the Detroit Lions. This was definitely the right thing to do.
So what we got next is we got some Eagles players. Again, all offensive Eagles players. So we got A.J. Brown getting extended. Devontae Smith getting extended, and Jordan Mailata getting extended for Philadelphia. Again, where does Philadelphia get all of the money to do this?
And if they have a secret little piggy bank account that Roger Goodell hides for them under his bed, under his pillow, and he keeps it full and says, "Oh, you guys need a little bit of money. Oh, here you go. Here you go." Yep, I'm saying, you guys.
Who's my good mediocre team of the league? You are.
Who's my good team that needs good? You need money for good players. Listen, no, Smith and Brown getting paid makes sense. They both contributed, and let me tell you, AJ Brown more. Smith's a good receiver too, but the guy's a Heisman winner. AJ Brown, man, let me tell you, he made it a mission, especially after he left Tennessee, to show the world, hey, I'm one of the best receivers in the NFL. And AJ, he is, ever since he won me a fantasy championship, he's been one of my favorite players. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, trading him for Ben Roethlisberger still haunts me in my dreams.
Oh, God.
And old Ben Roethlisberger near the end. But, when you short up the offensive line, listen, all solid signings here. If you're you're 2 seasons off now from a Super Bowl appearance. Your goals are still there. You got the same quarterback. You want to keep the same offense rolling. Everybody's going to do their part. You think you're right there. And the NFC, you know what I mean, could be an open door because there's not really this huge powerhouse in the NFC. So these were solid signings. These were no-brainers, especially when you have some of Roger Goodell's secret money that he hides for you.
That fantasy football comment just stopped me in my tracks. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess good for the Eagles. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay. God, I hate the Eagles so much. I hate them so much. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be unbiased here, but I just hate them so much. But no, AJ Brown is one of the best receivers in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. Devonta Smith, he's a good receiver. And Jordan Mailata, he's a solid part of that really good Philadelphia, offensive line. Now they're missing Jason Kelsey, so all these extensions make sense. But it's like, where the hell are they getting all this money from? I don't know. They're just like literally pulling it out of their ass every season, and it's just mind blowing. It's mind blowing. That is all.
Right. And wrapping up is Bills extending Taron Johnson.
Yay!
Yay! Wrapping up with the Bills. Woo!
Ending on a positive note.
That extension was a no-brainer. He has been a key cog in that secondary, most dependable corner in probably the last. If you go from the start of the Bills being where they are now in about 2020, going through since then, there's been one solid guy who's been the same guy every year and a solid contributor, and that would be Taron Johnson. That guy holds down the slot for the team. I'm going to say it out of bias, and the fact that even if without bias, it's pretty close to the truth throughout a lot of opinions. Best slot cornerback in the NFL. This guy can match up with anybody and hold with anybody. The deal's a no-brainer to me. I remember seeing the extension and saying, good, glad we got one of our guys paid. He wants to stay here. He knows the deal. He knows the mission. He knows that the Super Bowl window's still there. And he knows his best chance is to stay here in Buffalo and hold it down and be the new leader of that secondary. I love this.
Yeah, no, this kid's been solid. I've really always respected this kid's game. Now, the Bills secondary is a little bit more depleted than it was, a season ago. So, kudos for at least keeping this guy around because he's very solid. Even though I digress because I still feel like Mr. Wants to sing about getting divorced from his wife. Got held in that game against the Bills and the Giants. I still feel like this guy held him, but I digress. I can't be mad now because the guy's off singing about making the absolute worst music in the history of man about his divorced wife. And anyway, good job by the Bills for bringing this guy back. Good job by the Bills for bringing this guy back. Congratulations. I'm going to go sulk about Darren Waller retiring now.
His next hit single will be He Held Me.
I'm like the worst. Like the auto-tune's so bad that T-Pain is ashamed to use it.
But what would have been hilarious is if he would have made a reference to his ex-wife being, why didn't you hold me like Taron Johnson?
Now I would have thought that was a great line.
It would have been like bars.
Bars.
Yeah, nobody ever listened to a song that Darren Waller made and was like, ooh, bars.
Oof, bars.
Oh my God, I'm crying. All right, well, that basically wraps everything up here for us at for KFR Sportscast in this episode of Staying Home and going over some contract extensions. Make sure that you guys like, follow, subscribe. I got them down on the ticker below at KFR SBRTS Cast on Instagram and Facebook. And just continue to join us as we push through on this journey. to be entertaining and give you sports news coming out of the NFL. I had something else teed up that I was going to talk about, but I completely forgot about it. So, must not be important. Be on the lookout for other episodes. Again, make sure you subscribe, turn the notifications on so you know when these episodes come out. And thank you for joining us for this episode. My name is BG, and I'm joined with, as always, with Big Sexy and the Heel. We are KFR Sportscast. We will talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Big Sexy out.